Dan, have I told you that I really think I am losing my brain?
I am not sure you have told me that, but I have seen it and heard it,
I,
witnessed it.
yeah, I don't know if it's an age thing or what, but I at times really do think I'm losing it. I don't know.
Well,
Have you,
you got a lot on your shoulders, a lot on your plate,
ah, it's never like that. Have you ever, you're never going to guess, you're never going to believe what I did. It's kind of like, have you ever, you couldn't find like your sunglasses and you're running around the house and you're looking for them. You can't find them anywhere. And then you're like wearing them, you know, or you're looking for your wallet, can't find your wallet and you're running around looking for it. And here it's in your hand.
yes, I have. I've done that many times. Little things that's just your mind is in some other place and not on where it needs to be.
Yeah. So I outdid myself this time though. I couldn't find my truck keys, couldn't find them. And I must have looked for a half hour. I just was everywhere. I was in the house. We have like a key basket. I checked all my coat pockets. I was inside of my truck checking. Maybe it fell down between the seats. Couldn't find them.
And they were in the
Um,
ignition.
well, they weren't just in the ignition, but my truck was also running. I can't explain it. They
Wow.
were in the ignition and my truck was running and I couldn't find my keys.
Do you have a second set or just one set?
So I will tell you that I have a second set, but
You don't know where it is.
if you offered me $1 million that if I could find them within the next 1 minute, I couldn't do it.
Because that'd have been great if you went and found your second set, got in your truck, and then the keys are in
Yeah.
there and it's running.
Yeah. And then I would like think, well, what the heck? I can't get this key to fit.
Oh wow, that is something.
Yeah, I'm losing my brain.
Yeah. Well, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Others out there, I'm sure, are in the same spot.
But that whole key thing though, and I haven't been able to get over it, but I guess you could say, Dan, is that it has been bugging me.
Oh, yes. There's been a lot of things bugging us lately, hasn't there?
Our last episode is still bugging me.
It is? Oh, well.
Yeah.
I
I'm
enjoyed
playing.
last episode. I thought
Yeah,
that was great. Yeah, I know.
I'm playing games with my words here.
Yeah.
Last episode bugged me. I found it very educational. And when I still remember when we had previous interviewees in the hot seat, like Harry Watt comes to mind. Man, I wish we could call him back. Well, I mean, I guess we could, but we want to keep some variety here. But I have like a bunch of other questions that just came up, like for Laurel. For people out there that don't know, we had interviewed Laurel Downs of the Nature Conservancy. She is the program director for the national campaign called Don't Move Firewood. And their website is don'tmovefirewood.org. And they are an educational program teaching people about avoiding moving firewood if you're a camper, loading up your camper and driving a couple states over with firewood in the back of your truck, because you can spread invasive species that way.
Bugs. Yeah. I don't think people, I know some people, and I'll speak for myself instead of other people. I know for myself growing up, that was one of those things that, you never really give much thought to or really recognize how important it maybe is. And, even if like right now, the whole state of Wisconsin is in the quarantine for, the emerald ash borer or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you don't start practicing and doing things like don't move in your firewood now, the next species that comes along could be even worse. And then it's just one of those things that I think it's kind of cool that we can have this little platform here to kind of bring that awareness out to people.
I think so. Yeah, and then here's I hope I say this correctly, because uh, I know that there's a lot of people out there that are resistant to this type of um, what am I looking for here, Dan?
Regulations,
Yeah, regulations or best practices or whatever. I
rules.
think that there is a type of person out there that they're resistant to. They don't like being told what to do. They don't like the changes that people see, that relate to the way we drive, the way we heat our houses, the way we have always done things in the past, and the way that things are being changed in the future. I understand all that. And I'm not saying that I don't even participate to some degree. I mean, I think for myself, but whatever. But in this case here, and correct me if you think I'm off base, I don't think that there can be anyone out there denying that invasive species is a serious problem that we are dealing with.
I wouldn't think so, but I do see your point where it's again another, I guess, layer of informing people what they can't do. So people will look at it as you're taking away my ability to move firewood, and
Uh huh.
and and yeah, we're not with this podcast. Like we're not trying to say we're siding with any regulate. We're just bringing the awareness and spreading the news
Yeah.
of this is something that it, like you said, it is a big deal. I mean, it's
Well, I don't think anything that Laurel discussed or what her organization stands for I don't see it as controversial.
no,
I just think it's self evident that, we are in a global economy and, there are bugs and organisms on different parts of the world that have grown and evolved over hundreds of thousands of millions of years. And then they hitch a ride on a freighter or an airplane, and then they're in a new area and it's just a new environment. There's no predators, and they can just go. And it's not just bugs for invasive species. You remember a past episode, Harry Watt had talked about the Bradford pear tree.
yes, yep, oh
There's
yeah,
there's
it's
trees kudzu. I don't know if that was I know it's invasive. I don't know if it came from a different part of the world.
yeah. There's all kinds
Uh,
of stuff.
yeah, well, I'm here in Ohio, what we call the North Shore at Lake Erie, and the Great Lakes now are dealing with that zebra mussel because the freighters that were in Asia that filled their tanks with ballast water would dump them, and they got into the Great Lakes, and that zebra mussel was in there, and then they're taking over the Great Lakes.
Yep, yeah.
Those What was that one? Isn't it like in the South? Those fish
The
that
Asian
jump
carp.
out of
Yes.
that jump out of the water and land in your boat. What the heck, man? Yeah,
Crazy
I
stuff.
just I just don't think that what um, Don't Move Firewood is saying is controversial. I mean, it's education. They are a nonprofit, and I have to support their mission because it's my world too, as with everyone else. And if you're a fan of the elm or the chestnut tree, the ash tree, I mean, there's just too much evidence out there that says that this is a problem. We should take some proactive steps to help avoid it.
Yes. I agree. It's not a controversial topic. And the thing that was also interesting is how she pointed out part of this campaign actually brings the awareness of local business, local firewood suppliers getting more business because of it. So somebody from Wisconsin is going to Indiana. They can't take their firewood. So a firewood supplier in Indiana with possibly a roadside stand might get some business because of a campaign like Don't Move Firewood.
Yeah, buy local, and that's a
Yes,
strong
buy local.
message.
Yep.
And there is something fundamental about firewood too, where it's bulky, and it's not a commodity that is good to be moved long distances, especially if you're sensitive about how much money you're making.
I think the other thing is, I mean, when I growing up, when I always when I always went camping, I didn't like to go to the campground and spend $5 for a little bit of wood. So I went on and load up my truck with wood from my own farm. But luckily we weren't, we were only 25 miles from the campground. But that was the big thing, like you always want more firewood. If you like burning a fire camping, like you want more. And I think that's where people want to try to, or they try to move the firewood on their own because they want more of it. They don't want to pay for it.
Right. Yeah. My big takeaway from it too was really from their website, don'tmovefirewood.org, because you can click on all the states. And I'm right on the border here of Ohio and Pennsylvania. And that's what I had learned is, Pennsylvania is one of the strictest states in the country. So, and I've learned to, I don't take my truck into Pennsylvania, especially when I got my name and my phone number on the side of it, in big red letters, firewood, with my Ohio license plates. So I avoid all that. But I also get the sense too, I don't know of any enforcement though, or maybe there is. I
Yeah,
just haven't experienced. I don't know of any firewood police out there.
no, it's not. And I think that's why it's so heavily dependent on things like don'tmovefirewood.org because I don't think it's enforced at all,
Yeah,
really.
they're taking the education route on making people aware that
Yep.
it's a problem. Yeah, and that's what makes me sympathetic to the cause. I think that um, don'tmovefirewood.org is approaching it the right way. You know,
I
uh,
agree.
they've they've identified people to help them with their mission, people that care, people that's good at whatever the skills that they need. And I found Laurel. I found her very impressive.
Yes. Yes,
You know,
indeed. She knew what she was talking about.
she did. We didn't even have some of that. Came on the interview, but like you could just name a state, and she just was just like a walking encyclopedia. She could just name it off, what the laws are, or the problems that they're dealing with out there. That was very impressive.
Yeah, and her favorite historical figure was Andre the Giant. I mean, how can you go wrong there?
Yeah, I don't think she didn't believe us when we mentioned about your past as a
and
professional wrestler.
and did you remember her favorite chainsaw? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I hope that our listeners knew that there was a gimmick involved with that. So,
I wonder if anyone picked up on that.
yeah. Oh boy.
I don't know.
Yeah. But you know what else though, Dan? That type of episode makes me proud to be a part of the Woodhounds podcast because we can have some low level sophomoric behavior on here. Just random babbling of two guys, stacking wood. But then
Yeah.
we can also get an audience such as Don't Move Firewood, you know,
Right. Yep. We can.
such as, inventors and manufacturers of these really cool firewood machines out there, college professors, authors. This is the stuff I am finding very exciting about the podcast.
Yeah, I think we have that broad spectrum of, like you mentioned, us talking about something or just the stacking wood conversations, and then all the way to having guests on that are experts in a field or a business owner or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool as well. But
Yeah.
I will mention that now to all those out there listening, without our episodes of just Joe and I mindlessly talking, those other episodes wouldn't stand out as much. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Well, I have been told though that people enjoy that. They just like hearing, because I think too, I think we give that perception that, the people are just, they're right there with us.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. And that's the way I feel it. I get the sense that we're surrounded by friends when we
Yep.
do these podcasts. But that last episode, though, that was fun and it was educational. And I just wish I could do more to help the cause because, I mean, I sell firewood. If anyone's affected by it, it's me because I turn down calls and deliveries into Pennsylvania a lot. And I just say I can't deliver into Pennsylvania. I don't deal with heat treated wood. So, that if there's anyone that's affected by it, it's me financially because
Right.
I know I could have increased my sales, on that side of the state line.
And I'm in the position where, like, I have people come to my roadside stand and pick up firewood, and I don't know where they're going. So, on my side of it, it's like I need to hope that those people are being responsible in what they're doing, but I have no control over it.
Yeah, I think of this too when I sell my bundles. For instance, I was just at like this hardware store chain. They have about four or was it five, but they're all in Ohio. And that had come up about, well, what if the customer buys it? And I told them that the transaction is between me and you of the store. If a customer buys it and takes it into Pennsylvania, that's on them.
That is on them, correct.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be pretty hard to, you know, enforce, track down, monitor.
yeah.
Excuse me, sir, before you pay for this firewood, where are you going?
Well, that's the same way with fireworks because we have the nation's largest fireworks manufacturer is right here in the Mahoning Valley, and they are real strict. When you go into their store to buy stuff, you have to like show your driver's license and sign in
Oh,
and stuff, and then you have to sign a waiver about you're not. I think the law might have changed, but you're not you're promising not to blow them up in Ohio. Something like that. That's
yep. Yeah.
that may or may not be honored, but it doesn't sound like it on the night of the 4th of July because everyone around here's got them. Yeah. But this,
Uh,
when we were talking with Laurel, I was having flashbacks because I remember my dad talking about the chestnut tree because he is a big squirrel hunter, and I don't think I've ever seen a chestnut because they're all dead.
hmm.
There's a tree called the horse chestnut, but that is not the American chestnut. I think that's more related to like the Buckeye tree. But then we did an episode on the American elm
Yep.
and the first the disease, the Dutch elm disease, was identified as coming into Cincinnati, Ohio, on a shipment of wood planks,
Yeah.
or was it furniture or something?
Yeah. Furniture.
And that's all it takes, and then the emerald ash borer, and then I think of like the zebra mussel in the Great Lakes and all of these other trees that are just growing in the wrong part of the world.
Yeah. And there's, I mean, on their website, like they have mentioned, all the different things from the beetles, the bugs, and even like the fungus and the diseases like, oak wilt was listed
Yeah.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of the oak trees just wake up dead one day, don't they? They just
Yep. Just
suddenly die.
out of nowhere. And
Yeah, it's
man,
terrible.
that stuff spreads like crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so Dan, that was on my mind about this episode. And this comes on the heels of our 100th episode where we kind of had like a little miniature celebration for us. And then we got wrapped up with this, and this, we had an IT problem and it got pushed, but we eventually got this recorded. But we, in the meantime, received some very nice congratulations from our listeners, and I thought maybe we could share some of these with everyone. The emails that we got. Our email address is thewoodhounds@gmail.com.
Yes. Yeah. Let me pull up a few of these here actually. because
And
we
we're real
have
sorry
received.
about getting these out late.
Yeah, we like. Well, yeah, we've some days we have a lot going on, and some days we have nothing going on, and we forget what was going on, and it's just it's one of those things. But yeah, we received an email from Dave, and his email said he just wanted to stop in. Um, let's see here. He's
Well,
been
Dave is a YouTube channel, don't we? Is this
oh
Dave from
yes,
Ohio?
Ohio
Ohio.
Hilltops. Yes,
He is
that's at
such
the
a nice
clothing.
man, isn't he? I met him and his dad at a Paul Bunyan.
Yep.
He's such a gentleman. Very nice
Yeah,
guy.
and he recently is dove into starting his LLC for his firewood. And Joe, he wanted to say thanks because I'm always taking in tips and advice to just get started. And yeah,
Awesome.
he's been selling bundles for years. Um, and he's trying to build something for either him to enjoy after retirement in 20 plus years or his son, I believe. Yeah. Either way, it's been a lot of
Excellent.
fun getting more serious about it this year. So I really appreciate the effort you two both put into social media and the podcast.
Very nice. Thanks,
Yes.
Dave. And if you're everyone, try to check out his YouTube channel, Ohio Hilltops. Or wait,
Yes. Ohio Hilltops.
yeah, Ohio Hilltops. Very nice man.
And then Daniel, who has a awesome name, he said you want to take a second to congratulate on the 100 episodes. Started watching both you and I on YouTube. Heard about the podcast a few months ago. Has been listening since.
Excellent.
Um, I enjoy the topics and the banter. There we go. Keep up the great
Well,
work,
you've
and
come to the
here's to
right
100
place.
more.
Yeah. You have come to the right place.
That's right. And then we'll do one more here from Jason. He is 22 years old and sells
Wow.
about 100 cords of firewood a year.
Jason.
He's been selling since he was 13, and he loves the podcast.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
that's really cool to hear someone, at that age selling that much wood. Because
Yeah.
he wouldn't have had his driver's license that long.
No, he started at 13, and now he's 22. Yeah, 100
Uh-huh.
cords a year. That's a lot of wood.
Did he say where he lives or where he's from or anything like that?
No.
No? Okay. Well, that is inspiring to hear. And that's where I have a lot of faith in the younger generation. I'm the one that stands up for them because I don't accept, the way people criticize. Because it was the same way when I was young. I heard my parents and the older people saying, this generation here is no good and yada yada. And I just don't accept that, you know.
No.
You never hear anyone say, "Oh wow, we were really lousy parents to this younger generation." you know, you never
No,
hear
you
that.
don't. No,
We're the
it's
ones that created the world that they're living in. So why don't I ever hear anyone say that? I think the younger generation is just fine. So
I agree.
yeah,
And I too enjoy seeing and hearing about the younger woodhounds out there that are getting going with, either they're pooling in the pickup or that have advanced and they're buying a commercial grade splitter and they just keep growing their operation.
yeah, yeah.
Good stuff.
And we're gonna need these people here one day when we're needing trips to all of our doctor's appointments and coming to visit us in the nursing home too.
Well, you won't remember any of them, so I don't
Yeah.
know. You don't have to
Well,
worry about the.
I'll know where my keys to my truck uh, are at. Yeah. Jeez. All right. Well, Dan, I think this has been enough banter for the
Yeah,
day.
I think we gave them just
Yeah.
enough to touch on a few important things and have that little back and forth conversation while we're stacking. Speaking
Right.
of stacking wood, I got a bunch to stack too.
Oh, wow. Well, I just want to restate for all of our listeners out there of the Woodhounds podcast. Why don't you check out don'tmovefirewood.org and also visit their Facebook page and follow it and leave a comment that you heard about them on the Woodhounds podcast and familiarize yourself with the laws They're really just like a central repository for them. They're constantly researching, updating the list, and this is healthy to know, especially for people like Jason who have a firewood delivery service.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Check them out and let them know that you heard about them right here on the #1 firewood podcast in the world.
Yeah, that's true too. It's very true.
Oh, you better believe it.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dan, maybe it's time we strike up the band.
Yes, let's do it. Let's get on out of
All
here,
right.
and we'll see you all back next week, Wednesday, 5 a.m. on your favorite podcasting platform.
That's right. And thank you for making the podcast the #1 firewood podcast in the world. And if you could please give us a 5-star rating on your streaming service, it does help us be found through other people's searches. So, Dan, let me just say this: stay
safe,
find
your truck keys,
and have
a great day.